I'm in my 50s and have never been married. In fact, I've never even been close to getting married. However, I do have two men in my life who are very dear to me. They are my nephews by marriage. It feels a bit embarrassing to share this, but here's my story. I've been running a daycare for quite some time, located in an apartment complex. Ever since I was young, I've had a special fondness for children. I grew up as the youngest of three sisters, with more than a decade separating me from my siblings. I vividly recall when my eldest sister brought her newborn to our home for postpartum care. Right after school, I'd rush home, excited to see my niece or nephew, learning how to change diapers and feed them formula from my sister. Interestingly, the baby would cry more when held by my brother-in-law, but would stop crying when I took over. This experience inspired me to pursue a degree in early childhood education. The courses were fascinating, and I thoroughly enjoyed my internship. During my senior year, I even worked part-time at a daycare during the holidays. After graduating, I earned my certification and started working in daycare. I found immense joy in caring for these adorable toddlers, who had just begun to speak, calling me teacher. My passion solidified my belief that I was meant to spend my life caring for children. My family, who always saw me as the carefree youngest child, was amazed that I had chosen to dedicate my life to teaching at a daycare. Approaching his 70s, my father offered to help me start my own daycare, and we found the perfect location. In the administrative office of the apartment complex they were moving to, given the complex housed over 1,000 units. Our daycare quickly became popular. Despite being relatively young, I had significant experience and a profound love for children, which drove me to pour my heart and soul into running the daycare. We managed to offer high-quality educational materials at a lower cost than other private daycares. Dealing with people wasn't always easy, but the joy of being around cheerful children every day made it all worthwhile. My sincerity seemed to resonate well, as our daycare enjoyed great popularity, even receiving positive mentions on local online forums. In the midst of my busy life, I met a man. He was my first in many ways, my first boyfriend, my first trip away together, and the first to confess his love to me. Our time together built up a treasure trove of memories, and naturally, marriage came up in our conversations. We even started looking for a 3-bedroom apartment, as I had always dreamed of having my own room even after marriage. I was discussing redecorating our home office and walk-in closet with my partner when he looked at me incredulously. "Why would newlyweds need separate rooms?" he asked. I told him I wanted my own space, but then he brought up his mother. "What about my mom then?" Confused, I asked. "Your mother?" he explained. "Yeah, my mom said not to worry about household chores. She'll cook, clean, and do the laundry. She even offered to help us with some of the lease, suggesting we all live together. And since she has bad knees, it would be best if she took the master bedroom for easier access to the bathroom." You got that? It turned out my boyfriend and his mother had already planned everything without consulting me. His reasoning was that since I liked kids, he assumed I'd be great at taking care of adults too. I was speechless. How could I marry someone who informs rather than discusses? Right then and there, I broke up with him. My ex-boyfriend and his mother only approached me because I had a stable job as a kindergarten principal. It was my first relationship, and I was genuinely excited. But this experience made me lose trust in men and decide to remain single. Occasionally, I developed crushes on the fathers of my students during consultations, but I always held back my feelings, fearing it might disrupt my commitment to staying single. Eventually, I reached my 50s, realizing even if I wanted to, I couldn't have children anymore. My nieces, living in the same neighborhood, both had daughters, who ended up living in my apartment complex. They were exhausted from taking care of their children, but their husbands were easygoing and healthy. One weekend, when my niece left her child with me, she apologized for making me look after her baby too. Taking care of the child was no trouble at all for me, so I happily obliged. In the evening, a son-in-law, whom I'd occasionally greeted, came to pick up the child but ended up staying for beer and chicken while watching a variety show as the child had fallen asleep. It was a pleasant evening, and I got slightly drunk. When I woke up, I found the son-in-law lying next to me, and for a moment, he reminded me of a man I met in my 20s. Overwhelmed by his compliment on my looks and suggesting I could still find a partner, I suddenly felt emotional. I hinted to my nephew-in-law that it was okay for him to stay longer. Pulling out his phone, he said, "The baby fell asleep early. I'll hang out here watching tea with you and head back slowly. Let's have some more fun." We ended up spending the night together until dawn, thanks to my nephew-in-law making time. Thankfully, the little one slept through much of it. My niece was so grateful for the chance to hang out with her friends, without worry that she gifted me a box of fruit. After that day, my nephew-in-law started visiting me every weekend, and my niece began catching up with friends she hadn't seen in a while. My older sister's son-in-law and I got along incredibly well. He's tall and quite athletic, and he finds it amazing that I accept him as he is. My older niece and her husband went on a trip abroad for their wedding anniversary, and my younger niece wanted to leave her child with me because she felt more at ease. She had taken golf lessons and was going to play on the field for the first time. Naturally, I agreed to take care of the child, and my younger niece left for her early morning round. The grandchild was so gentle and beautiful. Even though I don't have children of my own, looking after these kids daily makes me feel young, and I've grown fond of this job. My niece called to say she would be a bit late, and the son-in-law came to pick up the child after his morning soccer game. He brought a pizza to share, feeling sorry, and we had a lovely chat. He had a different vibe from my older sister's son-in-law, perhaps more in tune with a woman's heart, with his quiet demeanor and gentle way of speaking. We discovered we shared a hobby. While he likes soccer, he also enjoys playing badminton. We agreed to play badminton in the apartment gym, and it became a regular weekend activity. Despite his slim appearance, he was quick and athletic. Our badminton games became a regular meetup. We even had group dinners with other club members and decided to go on a workshop with those we got. Along with about 6 of us, went to a nearby resort. I was the only woman in the group, the rest being older gentlemen. I booked a smaller place for myself. The members, having played badminton for a long time, were all fit and lean. We had dinner and then drinks with those we were close to, including my nephew-in-law and another gentleman. Having my nephew-in-law there was somewhat reassuring. The badminton members, all successful business owners, eventually went back to their rooms. Left alone with my nephew-in-law, we decided to have another drink in my room. My younger sister's son-in-law then hinted at a secret. revealing he felt incredibly lonely after having a child. Realizing the situation, I ended up spending the night in the same room with him. To have met not just one, but two young nephews-in-law feels like receiving blessings late in life. Teachers have started saying I look tired or younger, making me wonder if they've noticed anything, leaving me feeling a bit bashful.